Hello and welcome to probably one of the weirdest videos I'm ever gonna make. This video has a strange title, and it's mostly in response to a DM, but I feel like there are probably more of you that have the same questions. So, let's tackle it here. I got a DM the other day that basically said, hey, why does it take so long for you to review media? Where is this review? You said you were gonna review Ultraman G'd over a year ago. Where's that review at? And I do want to address that, because I feel like from any other perspective than mine, it probably looks really weird that I have a G'd review thread on Twitter that is up to the last 4 episodes and hasn't finished. Longest Day at Chang'an review that I've talked about multiple times on the channel that I'm working on that is up to the last 2 episodes and isn't finished. But in that meantime, I've reviewed 2 entire full manga series in the form of Demon Slayer and in the form of Vinland Saga. And I want to attempt to explain how this happens and what is happening. But it's going to sound like nonsense because my brain is dumb. So just bear with me. If this interests you, please continue watching because I think it's super interesting. If it doesn't, then, hey, I appreciate that you just gave me a little bit of time to talk. The way that I consume media, I believe with everything in me, is still like based in the way that I consume media as a child. I got weekly episodes of stuff, or I would get a DVD, a VHS back then. VHS we don't use anymore. I would get a VHS, and it would have like 14 episodes on it, and I would binge all of those. And then I wouldn't get to watch episodes again for years. And you say, but Trey, that doesn't work because you've read all of Demon Slayer and all of Vinland Saga. Sure, absolutely. But for me, once I start a series, it's in my head. It's up here. And once I complete a series, that box ticks off and it's done. And I can look back on it fondly, like I do a bunch of series that I've already finished. I talk about them a lot here on this channel. But it's different than when I'm in that world. When I have these plates spinning, a part of my mind is dedicated to each of those plates. And so, for instance, I think about Ultraman G'd every day. I think about Riku, and I think about Pega, and I think about everything going on there and how cool Leto and Zero are every day. I think about Yes Precure 5 every day. I think about Q Ranger every day. Not a day goes by that I don't go, say that change, because it's still there. It's something that I'm working on right now, even though I haven't watched an episode in over a month. It's something that I'm working on right now, as far as my brain is concerned. And so I'm still thinking about it. But as soon as I finish those things, as soon as that box ticks over, I'm not thinking about it every day anymore. Then I'm thinking about it once a week. Then I'm thinking about it once a month. And before long, I'm not thinking about it at all. And somebody will bring it up and I'll be like, oh yeah, that was great. And then all the memories rush back and I'm full of joy for it again. But then that also fades. And so you might have noticed this if you were following me on Twitter when I was watching Kamen Rider Drive, which is now one of my 2 favorite TV shows of all time. When I was watching Kamen Rider Drive, I didn't want it to end because I knew it was going to happen. And then I finished it, and I was able to trick my brain because a character from Drive shows up in the Zio Overquartzer movie. I was able to trick my brain that it was okay, that I wasn't out of that world yet, because I was able to keep thinking about it. And then I went through all of the movies, all of the series, except for Ghost. I skipped Ghost. To get to the Overquartzer movie, and I saw that moment, and something clicked in my brain that I had completed Kamen Rider Drive, and it was time to move on. And where this comes into review side, because this comment was very upset, this DM, of, hey, if you're going to take this long to watch it, how are you going to represent it correctly? It's been over a year since you watched some of those episodes. How are you going to represent it correctly? But I've been thinking about those episodes this entire time. It's in my head still. And the moment that I finish it, I try to review things basically right afterwards while it's all still fresh. Because once I stop thinking about it, it checks off. A great example of this is Yowamushi Pedal, right? I said on this channel, on the podcast, that Yowamushi Pedal would be the very first anime that I review. I'm like 4 episodes to the end of Yowamushi Pedal. I listen to that soundtrack every day. I love that soundtrack. I want to talk about Yowamushi Pedal really bad, but as soon as I finish it, I need to talk about it right away. Because my brain ticks off and says we're done. Where this doesn't happen, the only places it doesn't happen, is when I'm going right into the next thing in the series. So like with Stormlight Archive, right? I took almost a month to review Oathbringer because I was so torn on it, but I was still in that world in my head because I was moving into Rhythm of War. I know this is like completely bonkers, right? And doesn't make sense to a lot of people, I'm sure. The strange way that I think of this stuff, but this is how it works for me. And I truly believe it's because of the way that I consumed media as a kid, where it was 1 episode a week, all these different shows, and I have to keep thinking about them because I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget what happened. I have to keep thinking about them. There are ways around it for me. It Said I Could Go is a line that affected me on a deep personal level in Kamen Rider Drive. And because I can think about that line, even though the circumstances of that line hurt, I can think about that line and I can remember Kamen Rider Drive. I can think about jingle noises from Kamen Rider series, from belts, and be taken back to that world for a little bit, you know? When I charge my phone, I go charge and up from Kamen Rider Den-O because it lets me remember all of Den-O in a big rush and get excited. But that's how my brain works. When I want to talk about Pokemon or Robot Masters, and I'm ranking all of them, you may have noticed when I'm doing it, and even in the video where Pat had me guess Kamen Rider openings, I have to start at a base point that I can remember and work my way back up. Because my brain goes, no, we don't need that information right now. We're good. We completed the thing. We don't need it. So why does this make me take forever on some reviews and not on others? This is going to sound bad because I love Demon Slayer and I love Vinland Saga. I don't want to leave those worlds. And so with Ultraman Geed, it's my first Ultraman series. I've got a lot more Ultraman I want to watch, but I don't want to stop watching Geed. I really, really like it. And so I have to, obviously, I have to finish it for the review. I've been able to give myself an out by burning through Demon Slayer and burning through Vinland Saga and working on the Trail series, where I can forestall by reviewing those things instead. But I have to go back to Geed, and I have to finish Geed. I adore the art style in Yes Precure 5. It's one of my favorite art styles in anime ever. I'm gonna have to go back and finish it. I love the characters in Q Ranger. The characters in Q Ranger are so good. But I'm gonna have to go back and finish it. Because this is my job. I have to. But when you see me say, hey, I'm gonna review this thing, and then years go by where I don't, it's not because I don't like the thing. Maybe it's because I really love the thing. Well, how does that make sense with Demon Slayer and Vinland Saga? There's another thing that happens in my brain, which is I have to know. And so in Demon Slayer, I had to know how Tanjiro and Nezuko's story turned out, even though I knew it would hurt to finish it. With Vinland Saga, I had to know what was going to happen with Thorfinn, even though I knew that I didn't want to leave that world. And thankfully, Vinland Saga is still ongoing, so I haven't left that world. It's still up here rolling around. Haha. It's one of the main reasons why I haven't reviewed One Piece yet, is because I want to be able to keep in that world for as long as possible, you know? Which, again, One Piece is still ongoing, too. But that's what's happening right now in Trails. I need to know what happens with Estelle and Joshua. I have to know. And so I'm forcing my way through. It happened with Kamen Rider Drive, with I have to know how this thing happens that leads this character to show up in Overcourtser, the ZO movie. And so I worked all my way through. When I have a goal like that, I will push myself through things that I don't want to finish because I don't want them to stop. But when I don't finish something, it's not because I hate it. It's because I love it a lot. And I don't want to stop thinking about it. Um, it is it is tough for me sometimes to admit that I have this weird problem because again, it's my job to review things. I play video games for a living. I watch anime for a living. I love this job, but I have to finish things. I can't just not. And so another part of the reason for this video was to try and convince myself it's time to finish those things. We have more things we've said we'll review. We have to keep moving. I want to talk about Zenkaiger because it's new and fresh and cool. I need to go back to Kamen Rider Saber and Kira Major. But yeah, I don't want things to stop. And the way around that is really simple, right? I just add the music to my playlist or get a poster to put on the wall or get a figure to be behind me so that I see it every day or get some merch from the series and put it in the hallway so that every time I walk down the hallway, I get to remember that show. That's the way I trick my brain. But it's really hard to convince me while I'm in the middle of that I don't want it to end feeling to go, well, yeah, come on. But at the same time, it's also stupid because I love endings. I love endings. A good ending cements a great story. A good ending can save a bad story. I love endings. I just don't like getting to them because I want to live in that world for a little bit longer. This is, again, maybe the weirdest video that we've ever made on this channel, but I hope that it answers that question of where's this review or where's that review, because I am still working on those things. I am still thinking about those things. I I want to see the rest of those stories, but I don't want those experiences to end. And it's the dichotomy that my life is based around. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that media and life has to offer.